to play. There's no angels where I go, only pieces that are broken, scattered dreams across the floor. I'm home.
Toshinori Yagi versus All for One. Toshinori Yagi is watching in horror. Exactly what monstrosity lies in front of him? Well, All for One, he has made a deal. The deal is final, as All Might watches an unspeakable horror in front of him, not even sure what to say. He thought he had a chance at winning this time. He thought he could change things around. He thought that with his second chance, this would be where he can win, finally bringing an end to All for One, and save the next successor to his quirk. So, what exactly led All Might up to this point? Let us start at the beginning. Now then, whenever we last left off, Deku and Toru, they had gotten information from the female ghostwriter that there is a, hideout nearby. The villains are hiding in this city, and these are their locations, along with this being exactly where All for One is. Now then, after they got the information verified and, a reliable source to check on it, they had a bit of a meeting. Now then, while the meeting is going on, let us cut over to Deku and Toru. They are chilling out on the UA dorm room's couch, as they are watching TV. They're taking up quite a bit of space as people are somewhat annoyed. Deku and her are watching old movies, and they're watching an old western, or at least that's what they think it's called. They're not really into this genre, but it seems to be interesting. A cowboy out on the open plains. No one to stop him. It's quite interesting. Now, that is where Deku and, Toru, they would have to move, as Deku, he's getting a call from All Might. He would pick up the phone, saying, "Hello? Yes, young Midoriya, I would need your assistance." Okay. What exactly is this about? Ah, yes, bring young Toru. Alright, All Might. Now, Deku, he would just tell Toru that they need to go, as they would both get up. And they would go back to their own rooms and get changed. Now then, Deku and Toru, they would both leave, as they would hop on Deku's bike and ride over to UA. It's not a far drive, but All Might did make this seem like it was pretty important, so they would have left that way. They would arrive, and Deku and Toru would meet with All Might, as he would sit them down in the teacher's lounge and begin an explanation, saying that this will be hard to explain, as he gives Toru and Deku a full rundown on exactly what's going on. All for One, and, One for All. Two opposing forces, how the quirk was made, and who it was passed down to, until it got to his master, and then him. They were the, two latest, and her death inspired me to become a pro. So, as All Might would continue on an explanation, until he would finally come to the topic of this whole meeting in the first place. He needs Midoriya to come with him. If they're going to be raiding the villain's hideout, then the Ghost Rider will be a good addition to that whole pack. And at least scare away some villains, and get them to run and leave town. It does not sound like a very good thing, but we will have heroes set up outside the cities to at least arrest them. Now then, as that's going on, this is where Toru, she would just ask exactly what about her. Yes, well, I do believe that you will be great. Listen, young Toru, I don't want you to suffer the same injuries I've suffered before. And I think it would be best for you to stay behind. As she would immediately get up saying that that's not fair. You made me part of this. You made me your successor. You made me the person who is in control of your quirk, and who I pass it down to. So you don't think I'm a part of this? To where Deku would just say that, calm down. Listen, All Might, she has a point. To which she would smash her hands on the table saying, you're damn right she has a point. This fight, if nothing goes right tonight, it's gonna be hers and Deku's. It's not going to be like that. They're not letting this go the wrong way. This fight is ending tonight. Now, with that being said, the heroes, they would be ready, as we'll cut to later on in the night. Now, Deku, him and Toru, they would be, well, on different missions as they get their hero gear ready. Deku is going with All Might, and Toru is going with Mount Lady. So, this will be a bit interesting. Yeah, you're right. You don't really sound too confident, circus acts. As she would turn around saying, oh, I'm sorry, Ghost Rider. As she would somewhat laugh. As Deku would just stand up saying that, really now, I may not be that same me from a couple years ago, but as he would pull her in for a hug, and, well, give her a kiss saying that he's still this version of him. So, what will it be? As Mount would walk in, saying that she's sorry to break this up, but, well, they need to leave. Now then, as that would happen, Mount would just tell Toru that she's a little bit of a lucky girl. Huh? What do you mean? Well, you basically scored pro material. Come on. You think the kid's good looking? He's got an awesome power, and he's, well, famous before he's even a pro. That kid's gonna be a good hero. To which she would just say that, yeah, he is. Yeah, he's gonna be pretty famous too. Well, he's not really doing this for fame. Huh? Then why is he doing this? Well, his mom used to be a pro. Huh. Well, it's fine. It's good then. As Deku would hear All Might call for him. As these two separate. Now then. Over at the villains' hideouts. The League of Villains is discussing what they should do now. As Awful would just be saying that he has everything planned out. This will be nothing like last time. This will be different. Now then, with that being said, this is where Deku, he would just be asking All Might exactly what is their plan. Well, the plan is for me to burst on the door. As soon as that happens, you need to burst in through any available entrance. And if you can't burst through one, you are given permission to make one. Since I've seen your little tactic, effective and, well, very frightening. As soon as you do that, you need to use your chains. Edgeshot will try and secure he will try and secure the, well, man with the portal quirk. Your job is to secure that decay man. So, you think you can handle this? Of course I can. As they would begin, All Might he would knock on the door, and as soon as Deku heard that, he would have landed on the roof. Now, as soon as Deku was given his signal, which is a loud smash, he would have immediately jumped up into the air and smashed through the floor, as he burst into the villain's hideout from the roof, immediately landing onto the poor old guy and slamming him down into the bar, as he gets his fire ready and immediately brings it to his neck, saying that he wouldn't do that if I were I wouldn't do that if I were you. As Shigaraki would begin trying to run for Deku, or All Might. While that's happening, Deku would have immediately just used his other hand, throwing it outwards and wrapping him up in chains, as he can feel the fire from these, actually hurting his skin. To where All Might would just say that that was good work. Now, exactly what's going on as they would feel the entire building shake, and they would look around. They would be in shock to see a large shockwave in the distance, as Deku's eyes would widen. That's the other location. All Might he would immediately run to the window and burst through it, taking the quickest way possible, as he would arrive there in less than a second. Now, Deku, he would be confused as these two villains would be covered in a black substance, and teleported away, seemingly out of his grasp. Now then, after that happened, this is whenever Deku, he would have gotten annoyed, and he would smell something. This is a demon. No, it can't be. As Deku runs, summoning his bike and immediately launching himself onto it as it would have jumped by the window. As soon as it lands, Deku gets as fast as possible over there, arriving in less than 3 seconds, as fast as he can possibly move, without hurting and or destroying anything in front of him. Now, as that would have happened, Deku would arrive to see All Might and All For One facing off. All For One saying one simple thing. It's funny. I would have thought you would have been out of your prime by now. Still physically capable, and quite powerful. Tell me, exactly what happened to you? Could have swore that injury was fatal. I could see the same thing for you, All For One. Now then, as Toru would appear out of the rubble, using Black Whip to create somewhat of a bubble around herself, as she would appear with Mount Lady. These two getting up and, well, being okay. Mount Lady giving her a bit of a comment on that, saying that that was great. Now, before they can even continue, All For One would just say that, yes, very, very noble. But what about this? As All For One would hold his arm, and an All Might killing weapon would form, them watching on in horror. Deku would immediately just say to Mount Lady to move and get the civilians out of here. Tell everyone to evacuate, now! As she would begin running, Toru would just ask exactly what is she supposed to do. Stand and fight, young Toru. Just what I wanted to hear. As she turns herself up to 55% of one for all, and she gets Black Whip ready, saying that this ought to be good. Now then, All For One would just say that it should be, because he's made a couple deals, as Deku can smell that in the air. All For One would do one thing as he brings his hand up to his head and takes off the mask, as he would drop it to the ground, saying that, well, well, All Mights, isn't this quite the face to see? As All Might's eyes would widen, saying that that can't be possible. as All Might is looking back at All For One. All For One looks exactly like he did back then. In fact, no, he looks younger, directly in his prime. To which All For One just turned to Deku saying that he made a little deal with the one simple man. He said to tell you that this one was free of charge. Now, Deku would be annoyed. Exactly how many people are Mephisto dealing out to now? So, first it was Ida. Then he's pretty sure it was Stain. Then the other writer, now All For One. Exactly what the fuck is going on? Now then, Deku, he is ready and willing to bet his life on this fight, as he asks the writer for full control once again, the writer allowing it. As Deku's flames get a bit bigger and somewhat engulf his head a bit more. Deku charging directly in, as All Might would do the same. However, this time All For One gets a little bit larger, as he's taken on more quirks, and been given new abilities, as he is growing in size over and over and over again. Now, at this point he is probably around the size of, well, a 2 to 3 story building, as he tries to throw around his arms, and throw around his force. He's doing quite well. Anytime All Might and Deku try and step in, All For One would be using these weird gloves against him. He's not really sure what they are. All he knows is that they're actually somewhat hurt. So, well, no big loss. Now, while that's being said, Toru, she's trying to use Black Whip in a way that would be helpful, using it to throw rubble up into the air and then shoot it at All For One, along with her trying to get close and throw punches and kicks and whatever she can. All Might trying to use 100% of his prime power to fight against him, as they are all somewhat making their way and tearing through half the city. This battle actually injuring quite a large number of civilians, as one thing would happen. All Might would just instruct them to leave All For One to him, protect and save the civilians, as they would have begun to do so. Meanwhile, over on a building, the female Ghost Rider, she thinks that it's time. She needs to step in. This has gone a bit too far. She didn't anticipate another deal, so she needs to make herself known, as she would hop onto her bike and turn on her flaming skull, her smirk fading away as she would drive down the building. Now then, Deku, he hears something in the distance, turning his head to see that it's the female rider. She would have stepped in as she would walk over to Deku, saying that she seems like, well, you could use another hand. It'd be helpful. Now, help us get everyone out of here. Yeah, not what I meant. Against him. Clearly something is inside him. Too big to rip out. So, you're gonna have to kill him. Now, Deku would just say that that's not possible. It is a bit tricky. Now then, well, that's being said, Deku, he would be able to get enough civilians out of the way for him to rejoin the fight. Toru and the female rider doing the same. All For One, he's actually able to throw around his power and actually overpower All Might, as he would have been able to actually use Muscular's quirk along with a mixture of others, to get him into the same position Deku was in canon against Muscular. Until one thing would happen. Deku and the female rider would wrap their chains around this arm and pull it backwards, All Might getting the chance to sucker punch and knock All For One in the face as hard as possible, trying to use 1,000,000% against him. As he would have thrown out that force, his body was not ready for it, as he would feel his arm break. Now then, with that being said, All Might would begin to somewhat scream out in pain, as the news is capturing the battle. They are reporting that it seems like All Might and 2 Ghost Riders, along with a student from UA? What is this? There is more than one rider, everybody. Exactly who is this mysterious person, or, well, foe, ally? It's hard to say now. But stay tuned. Now, Toru, she would have watched this happen and she would come in, kicking All For One in the face, being able to somewhat knock him away, as Deku and the female rider would be able to throw him backwards and rip off this arm. As that happens, All For One, he is mumbling something under his breath, as he hears yes. Now, All For One begin to grow in size once again, until Deku can feel it won't happen again. There's more sin, there's more debauchery. All For One, he is taking in the souls of the damned. So, exactly how is he doing this? This is not going to work. Now, Deku, he would just say that he can handle this, as he would charge in. All For One would have gone to throw a punch at All Might, but Deku would step in, holding out his arm and actually being able to hold it back against All For One, as he is holding it with both of his hands, and All For One is actually pushing, or at least making Deku's feet bend into the ground, as he's actually being pushed back. Meanwhile, in the distance, Twice is taking aim, thinking that, oh come on man, you can't really do this, can you? Oh come on, we gotta do this for the boss. Besides, he said that we have to make sure to fire it at the rider. Not much else we could do, but I've never seen this guy get hurt by anything. Yeah, this guy's basically indestructible. Exactly what he wants. We might as well be throwing sand at a tank. As Twice would fire. The battle wouldn't really draw Deku's attention until he feels a sharp pain in his back and his side, as the rider would begin to scream out in pain. Twice actually watching as All For One would have been able to smash Deku into the ground and begin to beat on him, as Deku's somewhat disabled for a minute, as Deku would allow the rider control, the rider being able to stand back up and actually somewhat start regenerating, until more and more bullets are filled into him, as Twice and Dobby teleport onto the battlefield. They are firing into Deku with as many holy rounds as possible. So, this is quite the predicament. Before they can even continue, however, the female rider would have jumped in and immediately disabled the guns, as she would have turned to Twice, ripping his mask off and socking him in the nose. As Dobby, he would have put his hands up, saying that he'll give up, he doesn't really care. Besides, he's had worse. The female rider immediately socking him in the nose, breaking it and knocking him out, as she looks over to Deku, seeing that he's at least still okay. That's going to take a minute to recover from. Toru, she would have watched this happen, and she would watch as the female rider would just give her a confident nod, and run back in. Deku, he is not really sure what's happening. Rider, get up. Rider, move. Vengeance, can you hear me? Sorry, kid. I've had too much damage. Gonna need a bit of help on this one. So we're teaming up, is that right? Well, not really teaming up. It's more like I think I'm about tapped. Do you mind giving me a bit of power? Well, you let me go unrestrained, so I can at least, as Deku would fade into the background, the last words being return the favor. As the rider's eyes would course with blue fire, the rider immediately throwing himself off the ground as he begins to scream out in anger and release this flame. The female rider, she would watch as this is different. Whatever is happening in there, it is amazing. Even she's never seen something like this. All for one being in horror. As he watches this, well, demon, as you can say, turn back to him, with confidence and power coursing throughout his body. As the rider would run in, he would have immediately thrown as hard of a punch as he can directly at All for One, as this sends him flying through the air. As he would look to the rider saying that they need to go now, as he would have kicked off and jumped through the air. The female rider doing the same as All Might, he's trying to nurse his broken arm. Toru would tell All Might that they need to hurry. Now then, this would somewhat work as the fight would be prolonged. They would be tearing their way through the city and trying to keep the villains away and take them down for quite a bit of time, as it is around 4 to 5 in the morning. The entire city is fully evacuated, and whatever has been going on throughout this fight has been exhausting. Both riders are tired. Deku, he's still in the rider somewhere. However, the rider can feel the mental restraints completely slipping. If this happens, nothing can stop him. So he starts to call for Deku, finding some grasp on his consciousness, trying to pull it forward, while the female rider is still fighting against All for One. All Might, he's tired, beaten, and exhausted. His injuries, they're bad, but they're not too bad. Now, All for One's been going crazy. Whatever has been happening, he's been making deals left and right to try and keep himself powered up. So, this is where things get crazy, as he would immediately swing his hand outwards, going for All Might. All Might being able to block the punch, and somewhat return it with 1,000,000%, as he's panting very, very heavily. Now then, as that happens, Deku, he would just try getting in the way, as a kick would send him flying through the air and send him into a building. As the rider, it is impaled. It would look down to see that it is stuck on some rebar, as it tries to pull itself off of this. Now, before it can even do so, this is whenever the rest of the building would collapse on top of him. Toru immediately being in shock, running over and calling his name, as they would be, well, stuck there for a second. Toru is trying to tear through the rubble as the female rider, she is still facing off against All for One with All Might. She would say that this has been fun, but they need to end this now. So, let's continue. As these two would immediately charge for All for One. He would begin by throwing out whatever power he can, left and right, actually holding his hands outwards and smashing them together, creating a giant shockwave, as it was big and powerful. It begins to cut into the earth. All Might, he watches this, as he sees it heading directly for Toru. He would just leap forward as he charges in. Toru, she can see Deku, she can see his flames, while All Might is shouting for her to move, now! As she would be able to turn, seeing this directly in front of her, as she feels something. All Might would have pushed her out of the way, as he gets hit with his force and begins by getting torn in half. And she would be in shock watching this. as All Might would fall to the ground, seemingly, well, close to death, as the female rider would have gotten mad and thrown out her chains at All for One, scourging him and letting off as much hellfire as possible. That's going to take a minute for him to get back up. He's going to need to make a couple deals. So, as she would run over, immediately just grabbing what she can and throwing it off of Deku, getting him out of there. As Deku, he would have gotten off these spikes and immediately revert back to his human form, to heal for a second. As he takes a deep breath, saying that is crazy. What did I? As he would turn, seeing All Might heavily injured. His eyes would widen. Half of All Might's guts are hanging out, and the ones that aren't are seemingly cut and damaged. As he would run over, telling the rider that he needs to use the power. Now, heal All Might. The rider not responding. Whatever is going on inside Deku's head is not good. So, he would just turn to the female rider, saying to do something, as she would drop her form. All Might, he's just staring at Toru, thinking that he saved his successor. He did it. But, what's going on? What is this? As he, through one of his eyes, he can see Deku. That's great. As he sees Deku just staring at something. Deku's eyes are wide. Why is that? As he would turn his head, he would begin to cry as he sees one single person. His master, Nana Shimura, who died years ago. She's alive. As she would just say that she's sorry. Whatever's going on, she can't do that. What do you mean you can't do that? I mean, I can't. I've tried healing. Whatever I can do, it's not like yours. It corrupts and kills. It's dangerous. As Deku begins to shout, he just says to heal All Might. He can't die here. Now, All Might, he would just hold out his hand, as he would just say, Master Samura. As Deku, his eyes would widen. Wait, you're Nana Shimura? Yes. After, well, as she would turn her head to look at All for One. He's still regenerating. She could hear him mumbling in the distance, as she would say that they need to make this quick. Please, hurry. As she would hold out her hand, saying, can you feel vengeance? Somewhat. As Deku would just begin by screaming out his name, over and over and over again, telling him that he needs him. As Nana would burst up into flames. She would begin to levitate up into the air. As that happens, Deku, he would just say that this is not over. So, vengeance! As his hand would light on fire, with a blue flame. He would just say that he needs him, please. As he smashes this fire into his head, and he begins to transform once again. However, he doesn't feel pain. In fact, he feels calm. He feels peace. Whatever this is now, it's different. It's peaceful. So, exactly where do they go from here? As Vengeance would open his mouth, saying, they go peacefully. They bring justice. They give the innocents justice for the crimes of the guilty. Well, you've taken a bit of a personality shift. what happened while you were gone. I had to lament on things. I've seen something you would not believe. Exactly what is that? I've talked to the other rider. They've given peace with us. Really? Where are they? We are they. What? I am both riders, but I am neither one. You're shitting me. Now, Deku would just say that, can you do anything for All Might? No. Sadly, you can't replace arms and legs. But you can at least make him comfortable. As blue flames would begin to emit from the eye sockets. As Toru, she's just holding on to All Might's arm, saying that it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. They'll get heroes here. They'll get the ambulance here. They'll get people here. As Deku, he would just bend down, holding out a small blue flame, telling All Might that he needs this. Deku, he would just place it in All Might's hand. As All Might's, his breath would go from quick and heavy to deep and comforting, or at least calm. Taro would just say that, what did you do to him? I don't know, but it should help him. Now, stay with him. We'll deal with this. What happened to you? As he would get up, he would just turn to Nana as he would ask her exactly what's the plan. Well, kid, you know exactly what Hellfire does to the living. Really? I like this plan already. Well then, as she would go up into the air, higher and higher, as her change would come out of her hands. She would just say that you need to scorch the earth, as Deku would throw his hands down to the ground and let out a loud shriek, blue flames emanating directly in front of him, as Nana let out her own flames and created a giant circle, a wall of fire. She uses Hellfire, as Deku's using the same thing. Nana made a 20-meter thick wall of fire around the area. Nothing can get through. All for one, he is in fear, seeing these two riders. They're walking through this like it's nothing, while All for one just keeps screaming and screaming and screaming at this, thinking that this can't be possible. What have you done to me? Well, All for one, I have a question. As these two would immediately begin lashing out their chains towards him. They aren't holding back anymore. They don't need to. All for one isn't human anymore. He's just a vessel for demons, with 1,000 beings into his fiber, or 1,000 beings in his body. As they would both walk up, and Deku would grab All for one by the throat. He would just say, so many souls, so many lives. Well, Nana, what do you say? As she would just grab him by the top of his head, pulling him close to both of them, saying, so many souls to burn. As they both give All for one the penance stare. All for one seeing the lives of millions of demons. And, well, people. Every single life he's ruined. He feels All Might's injury. He feels the pain he's caused every single person in the underworld that he's crossed. As All for one is screaming in pain, as his body would drop to the ground, or at least whatever's left of it, since, well, they burned most of it to a crisp. Now then, with that being said, these two would run back over to All Might, as Nana, she's flying over. Now then, All Might's vision is blurry, as he's just looking around. He's trying to look for all form, but he can't see anything. He can barely keep Toru in focus. Deku, he would run over in All Might's view of, or at least field of vision, whatever's left of it. As Nana Shimura, she begins to fly down. Off one, or All Might seeing an angel. As he sees her in front of him, he begins to cry, as he just thinks that it's time. I'll be with you again, Master. As she would land, and this vision would disappear. Her walking up and just at least trying to comfort him. Saying, it's going to be fine, Toshinori, it's going to be fine. As we will cut to the next couple of days later. Things weren't fine. The world, they mourn the loss of a hero. They mourn the loss of the greatest. The best hero they could ever think, or at least imagine. All Might's funeral, it was not a good one. The writer was there, and, well, Deku and him both gave different speeches. The writer just saying that All Might was the greatest man he's ever met. We speak this truly. He was a man for the ages. He was someone who believed in everyone could be a hero. As the writer would look down for a second, a blue tear streaming from his face, as he would look back up. As the broadcast will cut to a busy center, where Deku's face is plastered all over the TV, saying that the writer, or well, All Might believed that anyone could be a hero. Now, if you're listening to this, as the fire would cut out, and you would just see Deku as he's dripping in the rain, saying that, I aspire, I believe that you all can be heroes. We both do. So does All Might. This isn't the end. We will not forget the greatest hero there ever was. The one who will smile. The one who inspired. As they see something from Deku's face. They can't tell if he's crying or if it's raining. But this is a bit different. As Deku would look away for a second, just saying that the hero who believed anything is possible as long as you just kept smiling. As Deku would just walk away. As Nana would get up to the stand, saying that was great. Now, none of you know me. My name is Nana Shimura. And, well, believe it or not, I used to train this young man. He was the greatest boy I've ever met. Always kept smiling. No matter what. He kept that image alive. All Might. As she would raise her hand saying the true hero. The true beacon of peace. As they would lay this hero to rest. Deku, he would just ask Toru if she's okay. As she would just say that she can't really tell. She just knows that whatever is going on, he's here. As she looks down at her hand, it's coursing with power. As she would just close it, bring it down, saying that. But this isn't a time to be sad. Now, Nana would walk up, saying that, listen, I don't know what. As someone just scratches her head, saying, Toshinori taught you to. But please understand, I'm going to try and stick around. I hope so. You might be able to tell me what this is exactly. Well, I don't know what that is. That's just it. In all my time alive, I've never seen this. So, what happened with you and All for One? Well, his final blow didn't kill me. I remember as she gets interrupted by Gran Torino, as he would be in shock to see her. He saw the broadcast on the news, and he finally came by to see this, well, happen. He wanted to leave behind some flowers. He believed they would be All Might's favorites. Dandelions. Or, well, at least something to shine, like a sunflower, that would face the sun, to show you that the sunrise will always come. No matter the darkest days, that light will still be there. You just have to focus on it and believe that it will come. As he would just be crying. Everyone is. No one expected this to happen. So, exactly what's going to, well, happen now. As he would just say that Nana hasn't aged a day. Well, yeah. That's just it. I can't anymore. Whatever Mephisto did to me, I can't age. I've been like this for years. I've tried whatever I could, and I almost asked for death. But this is instead something I didn't want. No matter what I do, this writer inside me just keeps pulling me back. Now then, as she would have said that, let us cut over to the next week. Classes were put on hiatus, but, well, they were somewhat allowed to continue. Since All Might wouldn't really want the world to mourn, or be sad. He just wants you to keep smiling, and just to look forward to the future. As Aizawa would just say that, listen everyone, I'm aware of the circumstances that have happened recently. Please understand, we will be trying to maintain class periods, but because of this incident, it will be a bit difficult to do so. Now, please listen to me. As Aizawa would turn away, saying that they have some guests. As the big three would walk in. A bit on a sour note, though. Since Mirio's trying to cheer everyone up and be a bit up and up about it, but no one's really in the mood for that. He still would try to fight everyone, and well, it would go a bit better. But that's just it. Everyone was not paying attention really and didn't really care, so they were all taken down. Deku and Toru were the exceptions, but Nejire and Tamaki didn't really want to fight. Mirio being the only one to do so. I want to say Toru would have been able to take him down, with Deku using his fire. These two were able to at least work together and take him down. While the provisional licenses, that exam would go a bit differently. They would have somewhat just, well, postponed it. Until it's a good time to do so. Which is whenever they would have done so, and let us cut to around 2 weeks later. Instead of a regular week. The world is still mourning All Might. It's kind of hard not to. The man saved someone in his last moments. And this strange woman, his former master, came back into his life. She's what appears to be a writer. It's insane. Now then. Deku, he's kinda not really paying attention. No one on the bus is. It's not happy, it's not loud and patriotic, or well, loud and proud. Everyone's just quiet. The only thing being able to be heard is the bus's engine, as everyone would get off the bus and participate, not bothering with the pleasantries, as the whole thing would have been sour. They would have just saved people and try and fight each other. They would have been a bit more ruthless as they're trying to stay calm. As Deku and Toru, they would have been able to take out quite a lot of people, along with Class 1A separating like in canon. Now then, while that happened, Deku would have eventually gotten his license, as him and Toru would send over pictures to Nana Shimura instead of All Might. She's a bit happy, as she would sit down for tea with an old friend, discussing things with Gran Torino. Now then, that is going to be where I leave this off of, guys. I do hope you enjoyed the series. Now then, I'm gonna break character a bit for this what if. You guys do know I create crazy universes. And, well, this one being another one out there. So, I get that this is crazy to hear or even do. So, well, I decided to do it. I was actually going to do this for another what if, but I decided to change that ending and let it be decided, or at least let it be better, since it was already a sour what if to begin with. Still kind of dark and depressing. So, I do hope you guys enjoyed the video, and please understand. Now then, let me get the jar, or the cup. Okay, well, that's not what I expected to pick. Yeah, that's a surprise. And kind of ironic. What if Deku was All Might's son? Yeah, this is gonna be a bit awkward to upload. I'm I'm gonna I'm just gonna go. So I'll figure this out and well, I'm not even sure what to say to this, honestly. I didn't even expect that. Fuck. Okay, yeah, I'm done. I'm ending the recording.